I understand that part. I trying to understand when is the ending of the game.
I mean, there are campaigns that have been going on for like 30 plus years, probably longer. The ending is kind of like a lot of this topic and see what we actually end up talking about. But I think this is going to be one of the episodes where we kind of just jump into one of our nerdy interests. And this one in particular is going to be my big time nerdy interest, which is Dungeons and Dragons. I'm just been playing it since 2012, 2014, around then is when I started. That's crazy. That means I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons for almost a decade now, and almost exclusively as a game master, which I'll go into the terms.
But first things first. Good night, everyone. I'm Andy here.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, starting with introduction is probably important.
Yes, yeah.
I'm Alain. We're both owners of Fable Coffee, and we're here just to, usually we talk about the cafe and the cafe process, but we're here kind of to talk about the other parts of what Fable is about, which is tabletop games and our about pop culture and kind of like our interests. That's why we started this cafe, is to have a space to explore that and have people also come and enjoy that part, right?
Yeah, and D&D is such an important part of your life. You've been playing for over almost 20 years now.
No,
or just a little over, right?
No, a decade. 10 years.
I thought you said since
2012.
Oh, 2012. Okay, sorry.
Not since I was 12 years old.
Oh, okay.
2012.
Okay, got it. Okay. So what brought you to the D&D world? Who introduced you to that?
Ironically, I think it was another tabletop game called Shadowrun. Anyone who's heard of Shadowrun is probably rolling their eyes right now. Shadowrun is a not a controversial game, but it's such a bad one for it to be your first tabletop experience. And I'll get into why. It's just like a lot of tabletop games either is very mechanics heavy or very roleplay heavy. And so Shadowrun leans on the mechanics heavy side. I'm gonna pause here so we can cut.
No, it's good. I never heard of it.
Yeah,
I never heard of this game. I'll be honest about it. Actually, I'm completely new to D&D.
I think that's what's exciting for me, is kind of we get to get you in fresh.
Yeah, and the things I've ever knew, like that image you have when people talk about D&D is like, I imagine people only playing medieval time stuff, with those dices they throw in.
The math dice.
And that's all I knew about it, Other thing I was seeing was Warhammer, and for me that was I didn't put two and two together, that they could also be one type of play with the D&D world, and that there's books with the vampire world, with the cyberpunk, where I have no idea that could grow into that, because I'm all about the video games. So I'm the RPG world, like playing Final Fantasies, and those are the things I played. But D&D, I don't know, maybe from where I grew up was not a big thing. Maybe
I mean, neither for me when I grew up. Like, I don't think like with growing up in like a Hispanic community, especially too, that like D&D and stuff like that was so outside of our world. That's why when I first was in university, was introduced to Shadowrun by my friends who just corralled me to play a game, and eventually I'm like, oh, what? I actually like games like tabletop, like Shadowrun, but I want to see what else is out there, and Dungeons and Dragons was like the next big name. So what was the first thing that got you originally into wanting to know more about D&D? Was it the movie?
I don't know. By the way,
was it before then?
The movie was amazing.
Yes.
I really enjoyed it. But it wasn't the movie. It was even before. And I think it was this trend now, and I think it started with Stranger Things. But I never watched Stranger Things.
You just had all the auxiliary information.
But I think the hype started because of that show, but I was always curious about it. I always heard about it. I had friends that had mentioned to me about it, but I don't know, how long this takes, what it is, how we do it, and I don't know, my life just never put me into the moment that I'm sitting down around, people to play D&D. And, now I'm just interested. Now, hey, I'm getting into this world. I think it's fascinating. I like the stories. I think that's something great. And then I just want to, get started. And as of right now, I don't know what's part of it.
Yeah, that's like the fun part is that we're kind of in a D&D renaissance now, which is to say there's so much D&D stuff coming out, and I think now more than ever, people are kind of deep into wanting to know about D&D, because I mean D&D for the first edition started in the late 60s by this guy named Gary Gygax.
Some fun ringing, just let's get more guys.
What's going on? What's that over there? Yeah. But so it started from all the way there, and then there was like the Satanic Panic. Like basically, the game was banned for several years because parents were afraid, like, oh, they're casting spells and doing that. And I think Stranger Things kind of gets a little bit into that, and now we're kind of with big things like Critical Role and every Wizard of the Coast, like really ramping up the IP. Like, yeah, we have so many people like you getting, so now's a great time to get into D&D, which is all of that to say.
Well, and it is interesting. Like, I never knew that the game was a little bit, onto the sidelines because of like religious views and stuff like that. Me myself as a Christian, I don't think anything of it. It's just literally like
it's a game.
It's a game. It's make believe. You're just having fun. But I can also understand some people because times changes. But it's interesting to know that it was a part of the game being a little underground.
Yeah,
a little bit because of that. But it's cool. Just the how things come to be. But yeah, I'm really interested. And I'm not gonna lie, Warhammer is the one to keep pulling my attention. I don't know why. I'm really into learning the lore now and knowing what the Imperium is and
Necrons,
all the space Tyranids. Marines. Like those things are great. Like I'm into miniature painting and 3D printing, so I really want to build one. And I've seen those. I've been to some stores that they do have
the whole painting sets.
No, the entire
the giant battle
landscapes, and that thing is was awesome. I don't know if I would have room for that, but
I mean that's why those stores exist, right? Is to be able to go there and
there's so many
they're really cool
building those things and crazy. I don't know, it's probably bigger than my house sometimes.
And people that have those armies are a serious investment. So we're talking thousands of tens of thousands of dollars. That's why I think there's a little bit high barrier of entry there, which is probably why it hasn't been popular in the way D&D has been popular, because all you need for D&D is one book, right?
Yeah.
Versus something like the wargaming that Warhammer 40K has, you need all these miniatures. But that's actually where D&D started. It came from wargaming, which was around for much longer than D&D. That's kind of where tabletop role playing games began. And while you'll see a lot of D&D, we were just talking about the grid. That's why there's a grid. Even though it's a role-playing game, you take on a role, you storytell. The reason there's a grid is because the originals, it was very focused on individual, person-to-person combat and playing that out in a really mechanical way, which I think right now there's probably a good split on the mechanics of D&D. So how you actually play, how do you determine if I want to attack someone, hit them with a sword, what do I roll? What do I do mechanically? And then there's also the people who are more invested into the storytelling. Why am I hitting this person with a sword? What are the consequences of this, right?
It's fascinating, because you're completely open to do. When you think about a virtual game, you have a limited amount of interaction you can do to the world, right? It's whatever the programmers and software engineers put into that. As when you come to D&D, literally your imagination is your entire interaction. And I saw a meme those days where it's this group of friends playing, and they're going to open a door, and they throw the dice to try everything.
Just keep failing.
But just see if the door is unlocked. So
that is a very common trope, is oh yeah, we can kill an evil lich wizard that's destroying the town, but a door? No, we're gonna spend 20 minutes trying to figure out how to open this dang door.
And they're oh, sing to the door.
Let me
tell
seduce
a spell
the door.
to the door. Yeah, stuff like that. And nobody just stopped for the first thing.
Is it open? Yeah, 100%. That's cool. When you try to put yourself in the mind of your character, like what my character would do. Well, I'm a druid from like the Archwilds, and I know the door is made of wood, so I'm gonna try to like speak with plants with the door and see if I can persuade. Like, no, just
just open the door.
Yeah, just open it. I think that's the other part too. Is like, as much as people are storytellers, that's one of the fun things of having the dice, which is just variance. It's randomness. Having a bit of randomness turns it from like just storytelling and like writing a book to like a game. Because like if you open a door, or if the door is locked and you're trying to lockpick it, for example, there is a chance you can fail and just like not like, you know, mess up the lock so you can't lockpick it anymore.
Yeah.
What you do after that is kind of the interesting part. But a lot of people are afraid of failing in games like D&D, which makes sense because like I think there's this concept of trying to win D&D, and I think me talking to you as a player that is going to come into D&D, get the idea of winning out of your head. That's kind of like my advice. The game's not about winning or beating every combat. It's about like telling a dramatic story with your character and doing shenanigans.
And I understand that part. I trying to understand when is the ending of the game.
I mean, there are campaigns that have been going on for like 30 plus years, probably longer. The ending is kind of like what the game master and the players decide. So I think there's one aspect in D&D that you might consider the ending is as you level up, but there is a maximum level in D&D, and that's level 20. By the time you hit level 20, you're basically a god. Like you have literally one of the spells that you have access to late in the later levels is called a wish, which means you can grant yourself a wish. You can wish for just about anything. There are certain limitations to that spell, but like, yes, you have godlike powers at level 20. So you might consider that like, oh, once we hit level 20, let's do something different.
Okay.
The way I like to structure it is that like I might have like a villain doing something bad in the world, and we might consider the end like when you guys defeat or overcome.
Yeah, like a goal to achieve.
Yeah. But you know, there might be points like, oh, actually, we like the characters we're playing, and we're only like level 8 when we're done. Like, let's keep
going.
Let's go find that next villain, right? And that's why I say like, yes, there can be ends, but there really is no end to like what you do. I even play with I played in a game where we played our characters after they had all died.
Okay.
And
Get into heaven and then start from there.
Well, no, we went to the underworld.
Okay.
Well, it was like more mythological. It was like Hades based, where we're trying like to go from the underworld and figure out like how we died and like trying to piece that together. So
that does sound interesting.
Something
cool to do. Yeah, I'm interested to see like more like cyberpunk stories and something a little more in the future. I think that would be
well, that's why cool. I played Shadowrun. Shadowrun is a cyberpunk role-playing game. And one thing I think is interesting for a new player to know is like when people talk D&D, they really mean two things, right? There's like mechanics, like I said, how you play the game. So we call that the rule system, right? Like if I want to hit someone, you roll this dice, you add this number, and then if it beats this number, you get whatever. That's the mechanics. And then there's like the lore, right? D&D has like certain monsters like the beholder, or you in the movie we saw the displacer beasts, and we saw like the red mages, and there's the lore part. You can separate those two. You can separate the mechanics from the lore, and you could transpose the lore into other mechanics. And the same thing, you could play a 40K game using the mechanics of D&D.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and so that's why, like, you might see people saying, "Oh, I play Shadowrun in a D20 system." D20 means using a 20-sided dice, which is what D&D uses. So I find that can be like a point of confusion. It's like, oh, people like this doesn't look like D&D because it's in the future. Like, what is it? It's it's like the mechanics of D&D with some other
the story that
reskinning on top of it.
Got it. And knowing that we're gonna be a coffee shop, that you want to be part of that community and want people to come in and bring like. What is the average time a person will be playing a campaign? Of course, campaigns, you like said, could go to 30 years, but usually what is...
Oh, like one session? Yeah.
Yeah.
Any particular session, it really depends. I'd say between 2 to 4 hours.
Okay.
Which is a long time. part of the reason why playing D&D is hard is scheduling someone for 2 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
But you could very successfully have a campaign, like a session done in 2 hours.
Okay.
It's just, I think that one of the hard part is getting to like a narratively satisfying closing off point. Like, oh, I felt like we did something in our 2 hours. You basically...
So you play like, let's say a TV show, you have episodes. You're coming in for...
Exactly.
Until you achieve that goal that you guys are looking for, or if it's an open world, you guys just keep going for 30 years, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the perfect analogy for... That's definitely how I think about D&D, is like a TV show. You have episodes, and like one campaign arc might be 1 season, and you guys want to continue, we'll just go to season 2, and like now...
Okay.
You know, I think that's such a great analogy for thinking, and that's why it can take 2 to 4 hours to play. It's just... You want everyone to have the spotlight, and you're usually playing with 4 people. So, like, you know, only one person can really talk and do things at a time. So you're kind of going through that. And also you want everyone to kind of have, like, a satisfying amount of, like, I did something. And so, yeah, that's why it's 2 to 4 hours.
And let's bring a little bit to what we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Like, we as Fable, how you want to envision having these people coming and being our place. What like, we're a coffee shop. We're serving, you know, all those coffees and drinks and pastry, but we also want to build a community for people to play D&D. Also, any other tabletop gaming that we might think, like, we are open for everything. Like, but how you see that community
being built out?
Built out. Like, what you're doing, you know,
to specifically do that.
Yeah,
I think what I want to do is, I think, there's create the space for it and give people some of the tools, not all the tools, but some of the tools to be able to do that. By that I mean, like, we're gonna have like big open tables where people can, you know, physically be able to sit down and have like a nice secluded-ish space to be able to talk. But also, like, if people don't have the books, we're gonna have some of the books there. We're gonna have some of the dice. Like, we're gonna have some of the tools that you need, and you really don't need very many. But the other part, like, so there's creating the physical space, and there's creating like the event space, where we're gonna say, like, okay, Thursday night, like, we're gonna host D&D, so we're going to, you know, put a call out there to GMs we know, or just get interest in trying to do have people create campaigns here. And, you know, in the beginning, it's gonna be us or one of our friends GMing a session, getting players to come in. One thing I actually wanted to talk about, there is this thing in D&D that is done by the company that owns D&D called Wizards of the Coast. They do this thing called the Adventures League, which is like this weird meta play thing, but it's supposed to be like you find an event place, like a store that runs Adventures League, and you could drop in to their campaign at any time. That's kind of what it's designed for, so you can like go from store to store. Would you want to participate in something like that? We have to look into what the requirements actually are.
Yeah, we'd like to see how they work, but yeah, it's something that more than open source they can take a look at. Because my main goal into all of this is just, again, create a community of people to go back of, you know, meeting people in person. You know, like, I'm so tired of everything is like playing virtual games, and don't get me wrong, I'm 100% about playing video games, and, you know, I'm a huge Call of Duty and those.
But it's so different.
But it's different. Like, I want to see that thing back, because I remember when I was a kid, you know, going to my friend's house to play Risk and Monopoly. Like, I spent afternoons doing that, and it's not D&D, but it's the same environment.
It's the same,
you're there. So I want to create that, and especially because we're gonna be so close to the university. So many people coming, you know, freshmen coming from like all over the country that doesn't have friends yet. I want to create. So I think create those event nights that people can come in, and then it's an open table, like.
We're just at that point we can become mediators. Like, you're someone that wants a game master, we're gonna connect you with the players. You're someone that just wants to play. Oh, we know that, like, we have these like 2 or 3 game masters signed up for this night. We'll fit you. We'll ask them. You know, we'll do that mediation part for you. That's kind of the plan right now. But yeah, like, we are inviting the community to come in, right? And so that's going to be the challenging part, is like, how do we get the message out there?
We still haven't decided how, like, it's going to be weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. We haven't decided that, but I also want to create, like, if it's possible, of course, like, once a year or once a semester, like a big event
events
for that, you know. Like,
there are, I do know when I lived in
like today's Fables D&D event, like
the D&D event.
There's
I wonder if Orlando does this. When I lived in San Francisco, there was like a board game day that like so many stores participated in, and all the like it was just this organizer that would get these places to sign up, and all they would promise is we're gonna have seating and we're gonna have tables and we're gonna have board games, and then like you just get listed on a website, and like for that day people just hop to place, and it's a big like it's just a big event where we could do something like that.
And if one day we come to the point that we become too small for that, hey, we rent a space out, but we keep going like as Fable and providing, you know, all the coffee and food plus the tables to people. So I think that's what a goal I like to achieve is eventually do that big event for people to come in and make parts, and hopefully even like the companies that makes all the books and you know, and all those stories can like be part of it, and just, you know, so people get a chance to see what they're doing, and we are part as well. But yeah, that's my vision, and like create like hopefully a weekly thing that people know, like, oh, if I go there maybe every Thursday night, I know I'm going to meet new people and I'll be able to play.
Yeah, I think the cadence we'll have to figure out, because it'll be based on like what the community needs, like what people have the interest to do this on a regular basis. I think that's the two kind of customers we'll probably get, like people who want to do this regularly, and then people who are like, oh, I'm interested in doing a one shot. So we can have special like one shot days or drop in, you know, drop out days where you're not committing to like a full campaign or session. But you just try it out. See, that might be a good day. Is just have like tryout days. Like, hey, this is made specifically for new players. Like our GMs are prepped specifically to just run one shots. So you know you don't need to know anybody. There's no pre-existing things. You just come in, like sign up your name. We'll put you in the table and like go have fun.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna put in and creating an entire system for that on our social media. Then people can just, you know, send the names and coming in. Special event nights will be a little bit different. Maybe you have to, you know, you have a ticket for the seating or something like that. But if that's a very special event that we might be doing for, you know, that will be including food, that will be including things like that. But on a regular basis, we just want to be open for you to come in and like.
Yes, that's the other part. Like, as much as we want to host these events, we want people to come in and ask us, like, just DM, like, DM us. That's really funny because DM stands for Dungeon Master. Yeah. But just DM us on Instagram, like, hey, like, I want to play with my friends, like, this day. Like, are you guys
going to create a spreadsheet or something? And,
and
we are open. You guys can come in during the day. If the table's open,
just
sit
drop
down
in.
And start playing. You know, we're gonna be 100% welcoming people to do that over there. Of course, we're a coffee shop. We're gonna be serving coffee. All the types of people will be around, but you're more than welcome. If a table is open, sit down and start.
That's the vibe of Fable, right? That's why we're creating this specifically.
Okay, and in that note of events and things, what else do you like to put out there for the community that we're going to be around? Like, we're going to have a lot of games. That's a big thing, but what else do you envision?
Oh, what kind of other events that I want to have for the shop? I always envision not like open mic nights, but like having local musicians come out and, you know, do their things and have like, I don't know if we call them like wine nights or something like that, but like chill evening events like that where it's just like, come in, like watch a little performance in our space. More gaming related events. I mean, obviously kind of the same thing of tabletop, but with other tabletop games like Risk, Settlers of Catan. We're going to have a whole library of these things where we got to pick and pull from.
Well, I haven't found it yet here. And me coming from the miniature painting kind of thing.
Oh, miniature painting.
And when I talk about miniature painting, it's not like the D&D miniature paintings. I paint like big, like when a miniature, but it's big action figures. I think you guys can see some behind him over there. So, but I see a lot of people painting, you know, Warhammer and other, you know, little miniatures, and I want to create like a date for you to showcase. You know, I want you to show where you're working. You know, maybe a day that we put like tables so people can come in and just see what you're doing, and you know, I think it's something interesting.
That's kind of fun. I know one of the ways people have done that is actually do like board game swaps. So an event space will open it up and be like, hey, like bring your board games to sell. or bring your miniatures to sell, and people like will check each other's, there's like that commerce part of it, but it's really just like whoever wants to come in, like put like whatever you have out, and then like it's more also about like the talking, like, oh, that looks interesting. It's kind of like that farmers market browsing that you do, of just like, yeah, let's see what's out there. So we could do stuff like that too.
No, for sure. Yeah, that's something that you like to do. You bring communities. We want to bring everybody in their hobbies to come in if it's something that we can support and it's doable inside of our space. You know?
I think we have a lot of ambition, but our space, I mean, it's not a small space, right? I think our front of house is like 1,500 square feet, fitting like 40 plus people at this point. So it's not a small space, but yeah, we're not going to host like 100, 200. That's in the goals and the things we want to do. But yeah, we want to do like the small initial versions of this just to like generate interest and see like what really resonate with people.
Okay, yeah, and that's what we're all about, the community, and we want to bring all these people, to our shop and to get to know what we're going to be doing. And I don't know, it's so many ideas going right now.
Can you talk to them about the table that you did? Andy is working on.
I'll let you talk about it.
Talk about your table.
Yeah, talk about my table.
Andy's table. So Andy's been on like the D&D Instagram, the reels, and one of the things that's been more popular is having these like virtual tabletops. That, I mean, like, it's a physical table that you mount a monitor underneath, and then you could build out a grid and then play. Like, you could have so much flexibility and have so much more things realized because it's like a virtual tabletop, but it's mounted on a real table. And so I think it's just the coolest thing for adding that level of immersion if you are doing like battle maps, because you kind of see in more detail what's going on.
It for sure is gonna be like a centerpiece of the coffee in terms of the table area. You're gonna see that table shining. You're gonna see, and we found ways, and there's ways out there, but we found a good ones that are creating our own terrains. So if you have an idea, if you want to bring your own terrain, if you create it, you just can put it there and play.
We just do like a remote desktop situation,
so
and that's it.
It's gonna be. I can't wait to get it finished. You guys are gonna have a video of how I did it and in the show. And
it's really cool.
It's easy. It's cool, and
you're basically done with it. You just need to finish it. Do you know?
Just painting.
Just painting. Do you know? Have you decided on what you're gonna finish it with?
That's why, like,
we still need to talk about that.
Yeah,
I like your idea with the green coat, but I don't know, because right now it has this cool like rustic MD, because it's sanded down, but it's not perfectly finished yet, and it looks.
I kind of like it too. The look.
It gives me like that medieval-y fantasy vibe right now, but I could also see like a nice like consistent green coat going on there and working well. I don't know. I think the rustic works though.
It does, and just with a lot of sanding, and then getting to the point that it looks cool. But yeah, they're gonna decide on the finishing. The table's pretty much done. It's just final touches right now, so probably another week, and then we have a gaming table done. And you're gonna have that at the shop. You guys are more than welcome to come and see it and play with the table whenever it's ready. And then I just can't wait. It's
gonna be so cool.
It's really, really cool.
So I want to ask you, what from what you know of D&D, do you know like all the classes and the races and stuff like that? I kind of want to pick your head on like what your class is going to be. Like, are you the kind of player that you just want to show up, get angry, and hit stuff?
I'm brute force, yeah.
Yeah, you're a brute force fighter.
Every RPG game I get,
you're just like you're the barbarian,
I'm the warrior. Yeah, just go in, for the fight, yeah. Because what I know again is everything from the virtual RPG world, Final Fantasies and so.
You play like Skyrim and that kind of thing as well?
A little bit. I used to do the.
Oblivion.
The acronym just went away. The online RPGs that you build a character forever, and then
Elder Scrolls Online,
something like that. Lineage was one that I played. They're big, like Ultima Online was one that I played.
Oh, you're talking about like the classic ones.
You're just
they're all very similar-ish.
But you just play forever, The game never ends. It's open. So World of Warcraft kind of. Yeah, that's what I play. So I will go for the warrior or go for the mage or the wizard, because the problem is in the beginning the mage or the wizard, they're really bad because they die real quick.
I mean, that is
until you build up.
The same is true
power.
in D&D, where mages and where wizards and sorcerers are canonically very squishy.
Yeah. As I feel that the warrior, at least in the beginning, it's good. And then when you level up, it's just fun to go to the fights. I feel when we're going to become a wizard, when you level up to that point, it's just like use any type of spell, whatever you do, and then the other thing just dies or it's done.
Yeah, you're like, okay,
done. No, like that warrior have to fight. I like that.
One of my favorite subclasses in D&D is called the divination wizard. So it's a wizard that knows about the future. And that's and one of the things they get to do in the beginning of the game is that they roll 2 dice, right? And whatever those results are, whether it's high or low, at any point during the game, they can replace the result of another roll with one of the ones they rolled in the beginning. So if they rolled like a natural 20, which is the highest you can roll on one of the dice, that means that at any point during the game, they could just be like, actually, you know what? I predicted the future that I succeed on this roll. I'm just like, that is the most broken, knowing in your back pocket that any one time that you choose during that session, you could just succeed. It's a lot. It's just like the shenanigans wizards can do.
A little OP, but okay.
Yeah. Divination wizards can be a little OP.
And actually I want to bring the dice dynamic to this podcast.
The dice dynamic? How so? You want to add variance to the podcast?
So as we're going to have guests coming. Yeah. Hopefully very soon. We're going to have one. And we got to throw those questions that, they might be a little iffy about answering, but they have to throw the dice. To
see which questions they get.
First, what questions they get. And depending on the question, if they can avoid answering the question or they got to answer it.
They have to do... that's funny.
I just think we could, just
gamify it a little bit.
Yeah, let's gamify the podcast a little bit and get that going. And maybe between me and you two, we can do those questions and we just throw the dice and see.
Yeah, we could do the concept you just brought up. It's called roll tables, and there's if you read the books, there are so many roll tables. My character is from roll dice. A village in the south. It's kind of like it helps you decide things without having to think everything on the spot. So yeah, we could totally come up with a version for that for our guests.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we have so many good ideas. We're gonna bring the community to Fable, and I think we're gonna do it, and we want your guys' help too. Give us ideas down there in the comments. Let's see what you guys want to hear about it. What's next time? We can talk about what's happening in the city, in that world. What's the places in Orlando that you can
that already have some of that? Yeah, because there is already some of that going on, and we really want to integrate into it.
Yeah, and if you're not in Orlando and you want us to show you those places, we might be able to record there and talk
That'd be
to
fun.
People. See what they're doing and what can you find when you come over here to visit us. So yeah, guys, put that in the comments and just let us know. Please like this video too. Subscribe.
Yeah, please.
That helps us keep going. Fable's under construction. It's coming soon. We promise that. We want you guys out there. But for the night, I think that's what brings us up.
Yeah, that was a good, I think, just very overview of D&D. I'm excited for you to start playing, and then maybe we do a retrospective.
Yeah. We can start divided to make episodes okay, this time we're going to talk about classes. This time we're going to talk about, books.
It comes with the tips. Yeah.
It's just, people might want to know. People that don't play like me, I'm still...
Yeah, I think that'd be really fun is to do a game with you and then record a podcast where we just talk about, okay, well, what's your thoughts? Did it match up with what you were thinking D&D is? How was it different? It's just, I think getting that new player experience captured is such an interesting thing.
Yeah, because it's, again, I'm completely new to this. I never play a game of D&D besides knowing what everybody might know from hearing other people. So let's do that for sure, and let me get a camera time-lapsing the entire game just to see how the things go.
Oh, that'd be sick. Oh, that's such a great idea. So
we'll be able to show you guys how you went. For sure. But for me tonight, that's it.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to add up?
No, that's a good wrap-up.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you. Have a good night. Or have a good day. I don't know what time you're watching. Okay.
Have a good night, y'all.
Bye.